Okay, good afternoon everybody and welcome to today's webinar. Today's webinar is on effective time management. We'll also cover some organisation skills as well. And on a personal level, I have had great experience managing my time this week, and it's been a good opportunity to reconnect with how we can be effective with our time. So I've learned a lot even preparing for this webinar. So for the next 35 or 40 minutes, we're going to go through the presentation. You do have opportunity to ask me any questions as we go along, but I'll explain a bit more about that as we move through the presentation. So it's great to be here again on our monthly webinars. There's so many available now on the IAPC&M website. You can check in at any stage and look under the different strands that we have under education. And I look after, as Deputy Head of Education, I look after the mindset and attitude stream of our webinars. So today's webinar, as I said, is on effective time management. So I'm just going to give you a little bit more detail about who I am. My name is Flanagan, and I'm a life and business coach. I'm also a teen coach, and I am an APC, an accredited practitioner coach with the IAPC&M. And as I said there, I'm Deputy Head of Education within the IAPC&M organisation, and that has me involved with doing a lot of these webinars too, which I really enjoy. And as Deputy Head of Education, we are looking towards getting some even more webinars online for 2015, so watch out for that, and you may see some of them already up on our website. As a motivational speaker, I am invited by different groups and organisations to come and talk around the areas of positivity and our mindset, and also how we can look at getting more out of ourselves as a coach, but also as well how we can help empower our clients too. I'm a qualified trainer, so sometimes I'm asked to put together training modules for different organisations too. Yesterday I delivered one in the area of customer service, so that was really exciting as well. So there's a variety of things that I do. As a youth leader, I am involved in looking after the young population in the area where I live in County Meath in Ireland. I also do MC, host and presenter, so that's the fun side of the business. I'm able to do lots of different fun shows, and Strictly Come Dancing, or we have a show called Meath's Got Talent, so a bit like Britain's Got Talent but on a much smaller scale. But again, it's great to connect with young people as well and see them going through different challenges that they have in their lives. Okay, so just to keep you in the loop, if you haven't attended any of our webinars before, just the guidelines that I keep everybody muted so that we don't have any background sound. But if you do want to ask any questions, you can use the hands up function. I can unmute you and you can ask the question, or you can type a question into the question box as well. And this gives you an opportunity to connect with me and ask me any questions that you feel you might need answered after the presentation. Make a note of anything as we go along in case you forget and you want to bring it up at the end. Also, if you can't hear me, will you please just pop that in the box, because I have the question box beside me here, and if you can't hear me, we'll try to sort that out as soon as possible. So as a member of the IAPC&M, this is one of the very few officially recognised accreditation bodies for the areas of coaching and mentoring. And we have a system and process now where we have associate members, and that really, those members are, and you may be an associate member there as well yourself. These are members who are interested in coaching and mentoring and are looking to get some more information around that and to kind of the starting point of their career. Our accredited members are more demonstrating into training and experience as a coach and a mentor. They've had some time to experience coaching and to see if it's something that they'd like to do as a profession. Our professional members are accredited members who have continuing professional development and keep it current. And just so you're aware, any webinars that you attend through the IAPC&M, this will go towards your time as well for CPD. So it's good to know, and it's great to have them under your belt. So any that you've missed in the past, please feel free to go back into our website and you'll see the history of all our other webinars. So just to give you a little bit of background about myself and my PALS program. PALS stands for Positive and Assertive Life Skills, and what I did was I developed this program about 3 years ago, really targeting at our young teenagers and young adults population. But what I do is I go to schools and organisations and I deliver the PALS program. So I focus on areas like self-confidence, self-belief. Goal setting is a great one. When I start the program, it normally runs over 4 weeks. But the first session, I would always talk to them about goal setting. And it's amazing that our young people don't realise that they've already experienced setting goals, whether it's for exams or for personal achievements that they would like to have. So it's a great insight to get them into that frame of mind early. Positive and assertive nearly speaks for itself too. So everything I talk about comes from an area of positivity, but also assertiveness and helping them feel secure and confident in the decisions that they need to make in their lives. And I think it's a foundation for helping them move forward. It was inspired really because I had connected with older people that were coming to some of my seminars and workshops, and they were feeling that they were quite low in self-confidence, and their decision making had been based on a fearful thought process as opposed to an assertive, empowered thought process. So I really thought, how can I help people before they get to 40, 50 or 60, or this midlife crisis that we might face? And that's how I was inspired to do the program. So 3-4 years into it now, and I'm delighted to say that it's getting a really good reaction, and the benefits to the teenagers and the feedback from them inspires me to keep going. So I'm motivated to keep it and expanding it. So that's just a little bit about who I am and what I do every day. So the aim of today's presentation is to help you understand the importance of effective time management and how this can actually have a positive impact on your life, both personally and professionally. And sometimes, you know, we often hear ourselves saying, I don't have enough time, or I feel like time is running away from me. How many times have people said, if only I had the time, I would do it? And sometimes time literally goes by without us even being aware or noticing it. So today is an opportunity to pull that back in and look at where we are spending our time. And we will go into different areas of, and some tools and formulas that we may be able to use to help us balance our time more and to be more effective with it. And I found this quote and I thought it was really good. You can have a read of it there. Time is a created thing. To say I don't have time is like saying I don't want to. And what does that say to you when you read that? To say I don't have time is like saying I don't want to. And when I read it, I kind of thought to myself, maybe we could be using excuses of not having time to not actually do what we want to do. There's a bit of a safety net, isn't there, around the area of not having enough time to do everything that you want, or prioritizing other people before ourselves. And then we don't really have to face some goals or opportunities that we would like to do because we don't have the time. So when we say we don't have the time, we're maybe saying indirectly, I'm a bit scared to do this, or I'm afraid to do this, or if I do this, it means I have to stand by what I say and follow through. So that, to me, when I was looking at that quote, and I just thought, 3 words came to my mind, and it was about personal responsibility, personal accountability, and also ownership. So no matter how much time we have every day and every week, we're in control of the time that we have. It's our time. It's how we spend it might not necessarily be effective, but everybody starts off with the same amount of time every day, and what they do with it determines the results that come back in. So going forward, I feel that even when you've joined today's webinar, that you would like to take some control of your time, or you would like to be able to manage our time more effectively. So it's great that you have joined this webinar because it's showing that you want to maybe take more ownership about your time and more accountability for that. And I'm sure that makes sense when we go through it as well. So a question I'd like you to ask yourself, and maybe you've worked this out already, but how many minutes that we have in a week? And it's when we look at our week in the minute format that we actually realize how much time that we do have. We have 10,080 minutes in every week. And that's quite a lot of minutes. Often when I talk to clients and we talk about time management, and in some of the sessions they may actually, part of their action plan is to go away and do a time management plan. It's to look currently where they're spending those 10,080 minutes. And often people say to me, but I haven't got a minute. And my answer back to that is, well, you actually have 10,080. But what are you doing with them? How effective is that time? And this is something as a coach, it's a great tool for you to understand yourself personally, but also to bring into your coaching sessions with your clients. If a client is feeling overwhelmed or not in control of all the different aspects of their lives and all the areas that they're focusing on, then maybe this would be a great exercise to bring them back to the moment, to ground them in this possible panic that we feel that we don't have enough time or that time is running away from us. This is a great centering of our time, stopping and thinking, where am I actually going with those 10,080 minutes? Now, if it's easier for you to work it out as hours, that actually works out at 168 hours a week. And that might be more manageable for you. But I do think, I mean, even with young students now, when I'm talking to them about time, they would have huge challenges with them on time because they feel they really don't have any time. They feel they're in school all the time, or it's always homework and there's no real me time in their lives. However, out of their 168 hours, 37 odd are all that they're actually spending in school. And it's a real wake-up call to them because they realize then, oh, I do actually have a lot of time. And where am I spending it? And sometimes what we've noticed in our modern technology and everything's on the internet and mobile phones and smartphones, that they're spending a lot of time caught up with that. 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon on their phone and not even realizing that 180 minutes have gone by. So it is a good way of bringing us centered again into that. So the question is, after you understand and know and realize that you have 10,080 minutes, where are you actually spending your minutes? Where are they going? And how can you look at where you're spending your minutes? Because this is really getting into the effective time management plan that we would like to see by the end of today's webinar, where you are actually spending your minutes. And this is, this is the honest part about it. This is how we can look and see where are we going with our minutes. So every day we sleep, but how many hours are we sleeping? How much of your time, of those 10,080 minutes, are gone in sleeping? So if you look at, 5 hours a night sleep, 7 nights a week, that's 35 hours, in your minutes, adding that up into minutes. Or you might sleep for 8 hours a week, or a night, you might sleep for 6 hours a night. So when you look at multiplying the hours that you sleep by 60 minutes and then multiplying them by 7 days a week, you will then see out of your 10,080 minutes how much is spent on sleep. How much is spent in work? And again, this is another eye-opener for clients, because when somebody is working a full-time working week, 39, 40 hours a week, they really do feel that it's like, I go from the bed to the job, home again, to bed, back again. My whole life is consumed with work. However, out of that 10,080 minutes, maybe only 2,500 of those minutes are spent in work. Obviously, we have to take into consideration travel time and all of that. But again, it gives us a little bit more, it takes the pressure off. We get to realize, actually, I do have more time than I thought I had. So traveling to and from work, maybe extreme for some people. It might take them 2 hours in the morning to get to work and 2 hours in the evening to get home. And that's quite a lot. And again, that highlights the work-life balance. If you have activities, part-time activities, or you want to go to the gym, or you spend the social aspect to your activities, how many times are you doing that and how much time is spent on it? Training and personal development, how much of your 10,080 minutes a week are you investing into yourself, into your own personal development, into your own training? And today you've invested the time of the webinar, which is really good, because not only are you investing time into yourself today, but you're actually understanding a little bit more about time management and effective time management. How much of that time is spent in relaxation, in downtime, in understanding that, you know, me taking an hour out for myself is actually hugely beneficial to how I manage the rest of my week, where I feel a little bit of value that's being given to me. And again, it's something that we tend to forget, that it's okay to take some relaxation and some downtime. When we're very busy and when we have what we think is not enough time, that moment of relaxation or downtime, huge amount of guilt comes into it. I can't really be sitting down for myself for an hour because I have A, B, C and D to do, and I'll do them first and then I'll sit down. And I know I've been guilty of that in the past, putting other people first, putting my downtime at the bottom of the to-do list because really I can't afford the time to do that, or so I felt. But actually, if we don't invest even a short amount of time into relaxation or me time, then we're actually not going to be effective with the rest of our time. We're maybe going to half do something or do tasks and work with less energy and less motivation than we would have had if we take some time out. So it's important not to have the guilt in that. How much time are we spending with our families? And that's, you know, immediate family, or if you're in a relationship where you're part-time with your partner, if you have children, where's the quality time with your children? And again, sometimes we feel that seeing our kids or children every day is, you know, effective time. But if that time is spent rushing around, going from one activity to another, organizing school, lunches, dinner, it's time spent together, but it's maybe not really effective time. And I've noticed with a lot of my clients who do have children, and myself too, I started this process about 3 years ago, that I actually box off 1 hour a week with either of my children, both my children at different times, because we have that 1 hour that's very focused and part of connecting with each other. No television, no videos, no computers, but maybe some board games, maybe some reading, and maybe just listening and hearing what's been going on in each of our lives for that time. So again, it's downtime, it's relaxation, but it's also connection. So if you think about where you're spending your time now and work out how your minutes are being spent, and this is the task part about time management. This is the hands-on time management that we have, and I also have down there for you yourself. Even doing a time management exercise is you giving yourself the time to be focused and to reconnect. So making this very practical, and this is the kind of practical side of time management, and any work I've ever done in the past with clients on time management, it is about the writing down. It is about filling out the form and the planner, because looking at it on a visual gives a better impact. So this is just an example, but there's so many of these different weekly planners that you can download from the internet, or you might have had in the past yourselves. But it's looking at every available hour that you have and filling that in on a planner. And fill in the hours that you're asleep. This one goes up until 11, but you could say, you know, 11 until 7 is sleep time. If you're off 2 days a week, what do you do with your 2 days a week off? If you're off 5 days a week, what are you doing? And when you do work flexible or part-time hours, where are they slotted in? And then with the gaps, put in your sleep, you put in your structured work and dedicated time hours that are always happening every week, the same consistency. Where's the gaps? There might be, you know, on a Friday afternoon from 2 to 5 and you've nothing filled in there. But what are you doing from 2 to 5? That could be maybe your downtime. That could be, well, I've got 2 hours together there to catch up on what I want to do for myself. But without doing our weekly planner, without highlighting the regular time-consuming tasks and then highlighting the empty gaps, we then have a bit more control over where we are. You may be very surprised at how much time you have that's not really accounted for. It's not really being effective. You're doing something for 3 hours, but it's not really producing back what you want. So this is where you can get, this exercise I find is really, really beneficial. And even to do it once off, it's what we don't want effective time management to become is another task. And, you know, asking ourselves this question, well, if I was able to manage my time and fit in a time management plan, then I wouldn't need a time management plan. But again, it's back to, remember what we talked about earlier on, taking accountability, taking ownership, and wanting to see how effective you can be. So when you calculate that and you've worked through that, you can then start to look at the focus of where you want your time to go. Is there any imbalance there that you need to shift? Do you need to pull some hours away from something and invest it into something else? And when you do that, we've got to look at where your focus, or where you are currently putting your focus. Is there a lot of time gone into work? Are you self-employed now and trying to focus on your career and bringing that forward and your business? What time are you investing into your health? And when we look at our health, we're talking about, you know, health and well-being covers so many aspects. It covers mental health and well-being, physical health and well-being, emotional health and well-being. So what are we doing in all of those areas, and where are we putting our focus? Or are we not putting our focus in those areas and our focus is going heavily towards another area? Connecting with friends and family and looking at our time management around that. So that's just to get you thinking, because when you do your weekly planner, this may highlight the differences or the discrepancies between where you would like to be spending your time and where you are actually spending your time. And it's important. One of the biggest things about time management and being effective in our time management, and this is something I had to learn the hard way, was also remembering, and this is something I feel is really, really important with our effective time management, remembering that sometimes it's okay to say no. Now, I did a webinar previously, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, about positive and assertive ways of saying no, and that will be on the website, the IAPC&M website. If you didn't attend, maybe you'd like to listen to that as well, because there's a huge amount of guilt comes with us when we want to say no, but we really say yes. So it's okay to sometimes say no. And by saying no to the hours that you might be currently giving to everything else and not giving to yourself, you don't need to feel guilty. You're not being selfish. You're actually investing what was it we used to say? Selflessly selfish. So you're actually looking at yourself, but taking ownership of that time that you want to spend by yourself or on yourself or investing into who you are. If your role is, you know, as a parent, or your role is a senior management role, and you feel like you have to give so much of yourself, when you invest back time into who you are, you're a better performer. If you're in work full time, you're going to be far more effective in work. If you're a parent, you're going to be far more effective with the time that you spend in that very busy role. So taking that time out just for you is really important. So it's okay to say no. So what I wanted to give you as well, some tools and some ways of managing our time more effectively. So we look at the different tools that we have, and you may well use all of these at the moment, or you may use some of them, or you may start using them and thinking they're going really well, and then something pops up and you move away from them again. But I know myself personally, if I don't use my diary every day, I don't know where I am. I may say yes, and I am actually already pre-booked. So my diary would be hugely my lifeline for effective time management. And when I use my diary and I have it planned, whether it's 2 weeks in advance, 4 weeks, 6 months, whatever it might be, at least then what comes from the back of that and the back of the diary generates what I have on my to-do list. And allowing my to-do list to be effective in the way that I do and achieve what I want to achieve. I find it very beneficial to do my to-do list the day before. Sometimes I have a week of to-do list ready to go. If I have something on a Monday and I have something on a Friday, I'll have my to-do list pre-written so that by the time I get to Friday, I'm adding to what I've already put down there. And I find it takes away that overwhelming hugeness of sometimes having so many tasks to do. You wake up on a Monday morning and you think, oh my God, it's going to be one of those weeks I have blah, 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 blah to do. How am I going to actually get it all done? If you sit down with your to-do list, okay, today I need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tasks, whatever they might be. The one today, if I'm overwhelmed on a Monday, is it so full? Is it a priority, or could I put that into Wednesday? And could I put that into Friday? Or could I put that one into next week? But only if you're being effective with your diary can you manage your to-do list then. And that's what I found has been really, really important for me. Action plans are the bigger scale of what you want to do. So what do you want to achieve in the next 3 to 6 months? What would you like to have in your focus and goals that you have set for the next 3 to 6 months? If they're written in an action plan, you can then pull from the action plan and put it into your to-do list. But if you haven't done the action plan to see where you want to see yourself going, that's where time runs away with us. That's where we all of a sudden turn around, wow, there's another year gone, and I thought I was going to achieve 4 goals, and I really only achieved 1 because I didn't put any focus into the other 3. Something else took my priority. And that something else might have been somebody else instead of yourself. And yearly planners. You know, I'm very much about living in the moment, but if we don't know where we're going in the future, then the moments we're living in could be quite panic and anxiety filled. Whereas we want it to be effective. We want to plan ahead while still achieving on a daily basis what we want to achieve. And by working that way, we will see ourselves achieving far more goals than we ever thought was imaginable, because we've put it into a concise format effectively. So when you're looking at your to-do list and your action plan and your yearly planners, these are about the short to mid-term planning. And I love to see that we can think far ahead, but also while we work on where we are today. So I don't know if anybody has ever tried the short, mid, long-term time management plan. And it's nearly like that we have to think ahead and invest in where we want to spend our time so that on a daily basis we know where our time is going. When we're ineffective with our time, we're doing it backwards. Does that make sense? We're waking up every day and catching up with ourselves instead of being ahead of ourselves. And when we are trying to catch up with ourselves, we miss opportunities. We miss business opportunities as well as life opportunities. So with our short, mid and long-term plans, maybe you've done this as a coach, or maybe you've done this with your clients already, the 5-year, 3-year and 1-year plan. And with our 5-year plan, that's big. That can be like writing your own movie. That can be taking all aspects of your life and imagining and visualizing where you want to be in 5 years. So your 5-year plan is the big one. And you would do that first. So where you want to see yourself in 5 years. From that 5-year plan, you get to that midterm plan and you think, where do I want to be in 3 years? What do I need to do within the next 3 years so I'm on track to be where I want to be in 5 years' time. Again, we're taking accountability, personal responsibility, and being very effective with where we want to see ourselves in the future. And then from the 3-year plan, we come to this short-year plan. And the short-term plan is about the next 1 year. Where do I want to see myself in the next 12 months? What do I need to achieve from now until the end of 2015 in order to see where I want to be in 2019? Now that can be a bit frightening, looking ahead like that. However, if you look back over the last 5 years, how fast has that gone? And how effective were you with your time? Maybe you did achieve an awful lot, and you can see the results coming back. So this is just another exercise that could be added on to wherever I want to see myself in 5, 3, or 1 years, in 1 year time. What do I need to do now? How can I be effective with the time I'm spending now? Think of it as an investment into your own future. And this is really a great way to identify your goals, identify what you want to be doing every day, and connect with where your time is going with that. Okay, so you can use that as a written exercise. When you do that 5, 3, and 1 year plan, and I'm on my second 5-year plan, I'm 2 years into my second 5-year plan, and when you look back, it's amazing what you can see, and it's amazing how everything gets ticked off because you've put it down in writing. I have it as a document. 5-year plan is all documented together, 3 and 2 and 1. And when you review it and look back, you just think, wow, I've really achieved something because I put my mind to it and I put the time and invested into myself. So do that exercise plan if you can. Do that if you haven't already done it. Do that long to mid to short term goal planning. Okay. So where would you like your focus to go in the future? So when you've done your weekly planner and you've done your 5, 3, and 1 year time management and long-term, mid-term, short-term plan, where do you want to see your focus going? I've just put some examples there, but where do you want to see your career in 5, 3, or 1 year's time? Where do you want to see your family, your love life, your community, your spirituality, health, or the areas that are important to you? Finances might come into there. Where do you want to see your finances in 5, 3, and 1 years? But what time are you investing into getting that return in the future? Think back to our 10,080 minutes. It's a bit like on a Sunday night, you get into a time bank account, 10,080 minutes, and you have to spend all of them in the next 7 days. Any that you don't spend effectively or with some positive return, they're going to go. You can't carry them over. You can't say to yourself, well, there was, 1,000 hours last week that I didn't really use, so I'm going to carry them in now, and this week I have 11,080. It doesn't work like that. So it's the investment at the beginning of the week. Where do I want to spend every single one of these minutes? And some of them you might want to spend sitting down and doing nothing. And that is okay. But it's knowing and recognizing that this 2 hours or 3 hours of watching a movie is an investment into me, whether it's relaxation, downtime, me time, or connecting with kids, family, and friends. So look, moving forward, where do you want to see your focus? Where do you want to spend your time and investment in the future? Today, tomorrow, the next 6 weeks, 6 months. And when we move from that and look at those areas, there's other areas actually that you might want to get involved in too. You might want to write this down and look at areas of health and well-being, finances, fun and recreation. All of those areas are important as well. And it's looking at what you want to do. Okay, so how can I be more effective with my time? So it's one thing saying we have 10,080 minutes, we use them effectively, we'll have huge benefits, we'll have very effective time management. But how can we do this? How can we be more effective with our time? And I just thought, just to summarize what we've talked about already, plan ahead. Your short, your mid, your long-term plans. plan ahead. What do I want to achieve? Where does my time go, and what do I want to see? What results do I want to see? What investment and return on my investment do I want to see from effective time management? So planning ahead is very important. Go back to your to-do list, your daily to-do list. Prioritize A, B, and C. So have you used a to-do list format like this before? If you have something that's really, really important, it goes to the top of your to-do list. It becomes that A task. Something that you would like to achieve that day, but it's not as urgent, it doesn't need to happen in the first 2 hours of the morning, becomes a B task. And something that's not either of those priorities, but can be still, can wait, is a C task. Now, what often happens to us is we avoid the big priority tasks because they may take up so much time, or we may need to, deal with a difficult situation or a challenging experience, and we keep putting that to the bottom of the to-do list. And that way we don't really achieve anything, do we? So when something is a C task on a Monday's to-do list, it shouldn't really be a C task by the time you get to Friday. It should have shifted at some point. So your A task is done, it doesn't get carried over. If your B task doesn't get done on the Monday, it needs to become the A task on the Tuesday. Your C task can become B, or it can be brought to Wednesday. But we don't want to carry an A task from one end of the week to the next. Because when we feel overwhelmed with not doing what we said we would do in that time, that's when the pressure comes in. That's when the added stress comes in, and we really don't need to be adding unnecessarily stress to our lives. So remember that A, B, and C prioritizing. It's really good. I mentioned earlier on about writing your daily to-do list the night before. I find this hugely beneficial. And what we've done as well is we've emptied the mind of unnecessary worry and chatter that goes on in our head about, oh, I have to do this tomorrow and I need to do that and I don't have enough time and how am I going to fit this in and how am I going to do that. You've put it on your to-do list. You know when you wake up the next morning you're going to action that. And you'll actually have far more success rate of actioning the points that you've written the night before. And I do this and I've experienced it, and I can guarantee you that that's how it happens. It's taking the responsibility to be prepared. And the benefit of that is not having anything weighing on your mind before you go to bed. And what will happen then, you'll have far more effective sleep. And when you've had a good 8 hours sleep and you've invested 8 hours of your daily 24 hours into sleep, then the other 16 hours the next day are going to be hugely productive. And I would imagine that's where you'd like to see yourself, being able to have effective time management that is productive. So get into that habit if you can. So remember that you have 10,080 minutes, or if you like it in hours, it's 168 hours. But remembering that you have that can be hugely, what's the word I'm mainly thinking of? It can be a relief. It can actually be calming to know that we have 10,080 minutes, because a lot of the time we don't really think that we have that amount of time in our hands. So when you're looking at being effective, look at what you're doing with your 10,080 minutes. We talked about that 5, 3 and 1 year plan. That actually takes a bit of time to do. And that might take, 2 hours one day and 2 hours another day in a week to get that sorted, to type it all up and have it printed and be there in front of you in black and white. So that would be something that you plan into your weekly planner. When you see that flexible time, what am I going to do? Well, I'm investing in my future. I'm investing in my time. So I'm going to give myself 2 hours out of that 10,080 minutes, and it's about planning ahead. It's doing my 5, 3 and 1 year plan. So thinking all the time with that 10,080 minutes being a bank full of money, but you have to spend it. Wouldn't it be great if it was real cash and every week we had to spend 10,080 euro or 10,080 dollars or 10,080 pounds? But that's how valuable we need to look at our minutes. That's how valuable we need to look at our time. and we don't get it back. Remember that when it's gone, it's gone. It's filled up again the following week, but it's gone at the end of that week too. So once we're aware of what we have. And I think it's really important to get the balance in time management and to be effective with it. It is about factoring in me time. If that me time could be about organization, getting together, getting my plans together, getting my action plan, setting up my to-do list, or maybe your me time is 1 hour relaxation, a massage, somewhere maybe your relaxation is meeting friends for coffee or for lunch. Even in the busiest of schedules, if we even take that 1 hour out for ourselves once a week, the knock-on effect is that we feel good. We've put some value on that 10,080 minutes, that we feel we're working a lot of time, but we're also taking that time out for ourselves. So again, that's a very important one. And the regular reviews, what do I mean by that? If we don't have a 5, a 3 and a 1 year plan, if we don't have action plans to set us up every 6 to 12 months, if we don't have a to-do list, we have nothing to review. We have nothing to look back on and say, wow, I've achieved this, or I missed out on this last week, I need to put it in this week. And sometimes, you know, we can procrastinate or we can avoid because something has become too overwhelming. The task may seem just too enormous. But really, by tackling it and just saying, right, today is my day to do this, you know, a priority on my to-do list that's constantly at the bottom of it. And we all have jobs like that we think, oh, I just won't do it today. It's going to take too much time, or I don't have the time to do it. Actually, you may be surprised at when you approach this task with a different mindset. Set your alarm, play some music. I have 40 minutes to do this, or I have 2 hours to do this. When we keep ourselves in that routine and that structure, we're far more effective. And remember, it is about having balance. It is about having that time, effective time management, that it's not all about thinking ahead, but it's also about enjoying the moment that you're in too. And I find that will hugely help with being more in control about your time and being a little bit selfish, as we said earlier on, with your own time. And when you think about it, the time is in your hands. You are in charge of your time. Nobody else is. We may think that other people are taking up our time or that we've given our focus, but we are in charge, as in everything. We're in charge of our thoughts. We're in charge of our actions. We're in charge of our feelings. We're responsible for all of that. So the time is in your hands. So you have 10,080 minutes that you can invest in the way you want to. And take the guilt out of it. It's okay to do things that are just for you because the knock-on effect will be hugely beneficial. And I think if you take even the opportunity after today, while this is fresh in your mind, to get that action plan together, to get the mind maps around the 5, the 3 and the 1 year plan. And when you do your 5 year plan, it's so exciting. It's just like writing a movie. It could be as fictitious as you want it to be, based around what your core goals are and your core aspirations are. And you really enjoy it. And then you can get to feel excited about it, that this is actually something I could achieve when you actually invest that time in. So the time in your hands is the point I'd like to leave you with and allow you to understand how important that is. Because we don't get that time back. It's very, very precious. So before we wrap up, is there anybody that would like to ask any questions? You can type in the question box, or I can open the unmute you all there if you would like to ask any questions. I'll take the unmute off there and just see. Good afternoon, everybody who joined us there. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? No? Okay, I'll just click onto the mute again. And pop your hand up if anybody would like to ask a question. Okay. I hope you enjoy the webinar. Just to let you know what's coming up next with me, I'll be delivering another webinar on Tuesday, the 16th of December. It's 2 p.m. UK time, and it's identifying my role as a coach. So looking at how you can actually implement all the different areas of coaching and how you can identify how important your role is as a coach. What is it that you bring to your clients, and what is it that you find beneficial to yourself as a coach? All those other learning areas as well. So I would just like to say a big thank you. It's great to connect with you all again today. And if you do want to revisit this webinar, it is being recorded and it will be on the IAPC&M website over the next 48 hours or so. Okay, thank you everybody. I look forward to connecting with you again. And enjoy the time that you have on your hands this afternoon. Be very effective with it in the best possible way. Thank you. Bye-bye.